women's service members and women spouses of service members and veterans as they start or grow a business. We are extremely proud to collaborate with WBEC to help women and veteran entrepreneurs to start, grow, and compete in the federal and corporate sectors. Today, you'll learn about SBA's business resources, offerings from women's business centers, and the benefits and process for various certification programs to help women-owned and veteran-owned businesses. But before we get going with that, I'd also like to introduce our regional director here, John Fleming, for some welcoming remarks. John oversees SBA programs here in the Mid-Atlantic, serving Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., West Virginia, and of course, my favorite, Pennsylvania. John is also a former Marine Corps veteran and has served his country in many ways. So I'll turn it over to you, Regional Administrator.
Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Ms. Joyce, for having this. This was great. Really, I'm the one in Key West. I wanted to, I'm down here this week. I wanted to take a few minutes though to join you all and really congratulate everyone on National Veteran Small Business Week. It's extremely important to the SBA, and we include our veterans as part of what we call the underserved markets, of course, including women and minorities as well. So my job a little bit is just to be a liaison between the city's directors that Steve just mentioned and liaison between them and headquarters. I was appointed to this position last year by President Biden after almost 30 years with the SBA. And one of my many job titles there was to be the women's rep when we ran out of people to help out in that program. So I enjoyed my time, and I do appreciate WBEC and the support you've given to entrepreneurs throughout the region. You have a couple counties in New Jersey that is actually part of Region 2, and Marlene, if you Google, I can't remember, Citron is her last name. Okay. She's the regional administrator for Region 2, which includes New Jersey and New York. So my colleague there. So again, thank you for allowing me to join your webinar, and congratulations on this really looks like a great agenda today. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Steve, for your remarks. We are so pleased that you can join us and are excited to celebrate National Veterans Business Week with everyone. So I am going to reintroduce Sonia Smith. Sonia is the Public Information Officer for the Eastern Pennsylvania District Office with the US SBA. And it's been such a pleasure to work with Sonia over the past 6 months or so in my role here. I am going to turn it over to you, Sonia.
Yes, and I just unmuted myself, which is important. Good morning, everyone, and thank you. I just have a short presentation about SBA so you know who we are and what we do. And the slides will be sent to you after today's program. So you don't need to take notes. You can just take a look to see what we have. And of course, for those of you that don't know, we are a federal agency with a mission to help people start a business, grow a business, and in times of disasters, help you recover. Of course, we do this through our resource partners. The Women's Business Center East, WBEC-East is one of our resource partners. You know that because whenever you go on their website or get their emails, you can see the Powered By logo. We also have other resource partners such as SCORE and the Small Business Development Centers to help you out. And we also have a Veterans Business Outreach Center that services veterans and spouses of veterans as you transition from the military to your entrepreneurship journey. This is a great page for you because this shows all of the different veteran entrepreneurship training programs that the SBA supports, from Boots to Business to the Veterans Women Igniting the Spirit of Entrepreneurship, to even locally St. Joe's University. And then there's even another program to help veterans with veteran federal procurement entrepreneurship training known as the VIP program. Of course, we also encourage you to take a look at our website for micro training on planning, launching, managing your business, and even helping you grow, and the Mentor Protege program. We also have Thrive, which is a mini MBA program. You can learn more about this on the link. If you have one employee other than yourself, have revenues of $250,000 or more, and have been in business for more than 3 years, think about applying for our next cohort in 2023. Of course, our SBA website at sba.gov/PA for Eastern Pennsylvania. You can take a look at our upcoming events, news and updates, and even follow us on social. Of course, we can also help you with government contracting, which you know we're going to be talking about today, including certification programs and even surety bonds. We can also help you with exporting and, of course, access to capital. And if you heard Joyce say, on Thursday, November the 3rd, I'll be joining the Women's Business Center on finding your funding. And of course, as I mentioned, we do have programs to help you prepare for disasters, both natural and pandemic. And of note, we do have a disaster program for active military duty personnel to cover operating costs of the business if you are called to active duty in the reserves or in the National Guard. And of course, this is information on how you can subscribe to our e-newsletter, follow us on Twitter, on social, email us, call us, and visit our website. So thank you so much. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the next person.
Thank you, Sonia. I would like to introduce my colleague, Colleen Lacoste, who is the WBEC-East Certification Manager, who will discuss WBEC certifications. Over to you, Colleen.
Great. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. I have the privilege of kicking off our conversation about certifications today. So I would like to start this conversation off by doing a short self-assessment with all of you here to think about, is certification right for me, and what kind of business owner should be pursuing certification? So first and foremost, is your product or service targeted at corporations, government agencies, or if you're product-based, are you looking to do wholesale, either with retail or hospital systems, school systems, things like that? Because what certifications really do for small, diverse businesses is they help to get you an into procurement offices. You know, the government and large corporations, they know that it's really difficult for small businesses, particularly diverse-owned businesses, whether you're owned by women, minority, veteran, etc. It's very difficult to get that first introduction, that first in. So, you know, every organization, every procurement department is a little bit different in terms of what certificates they accept. But ultimately, the goal is to help level the playing field for diverse-owned businesses. So my first question is thinking about what is your product or service, and who are your target clients? Will this certificate be beneficial to you? If you're a brand new business, are you ready? You know, if you're a consultant, you may just need your brain and you're good to go. If you are, you know, in construction, heavy machinery, you may not be ready, you know, to pursue certifications, pursue procurement opportunities for a year or two. So just think about that if you're brand new. Are you willing to share all of the details about your business? Because in any certification program, they're going to be asking for tax returns, payroll, you know, W-2s, your bylaws, stock certificates, all sorts of stuff. And you need to be willing to share that. And lastly, are you clear that any certification is a marketing and a networking tool? It's never intended to give a women-owned business an advantage over a male-owned business, or, you know, a veteran-owned business advantage over a non-veteran-owned business. The intention is to level the playing field. It's to help get you that into the network and these introductions, but ultimately you still have to apply for procurement opportunities and be the best fit for the job and, you know, network. It's like when you get a college degree, job offers don't just fall into your lap, right? You still have to put in that work of marketing yourself and also being the best fit for the job. So before pursuing any certification, and we're going to talk about a couple over the next few minutes here, find out from your clients what certificate you need, because they may, you know, have a very specific program. Like I know PennDOT, SEPTA, and some of the other Pennsylvania transportation agencies have a very specific certification program that they want in order to do business with you. They don't accept the WBE certification or many of the other national certifications. If you are looking to do business with the federal government or any of the federal agencies, you know, you're going to want to look into pursuing the WOSB as a women-owned business. But if you're never going to do business with any of the federal agencies and all you want is a certificate to do business with Bank of America, you don't need the WOSB. So make sure you're doing your research ahead of time before pursuing any certifications. So also think about what is your strategy here. When you get a certification, as I said, you know, it doesn't guarantee you business. Business isn't just going to fall into your lap. You need to have your certificate as part of a strategic plan. Having a certificate on its own is not a strategic plan. That's a pretty common misconception, is people just kind of assume, oh, I'm going to get a certificate and business is going to pick up. Make it a part of your plan. So I am going to be talking about the WBEC WBE certificate for the next couple of minutes. WBEC is the largest national certifier of women-owned businesses. It's accepted by hundreds of corporations, local government agencies, locally, specifically in our region, City of Philadelphia, State of Pennsylvania, State of Delaware, Allegheny County, quite a lot. We also offer the WOSB, which is the federal certificate, as an add-on to the WBE. And Jen Tilden is going to talk a little bit about that certificate and other federal certificates in a few more minutes. But there are over 18,000 certified businesses nationwide, over 400 corporate members nationwide. So it's a very robust network. And as Joyce explained a little bit earlier in the program, we have a pretty robust network locally as well. We cover all of Pennsylvania, Delaware, and the southern half of New Jersey for certifications. But for those of you who are on the call from other states, regions across the country, it's actually national certification. The eligibility, everything is exactly the same. The process is exactly the same nationwide. It's just a matter of which regional team you work with to get certified. So what is a WBE or an MBE or a VOB? And you hear these BEs, Women's Business Enterprise. And, you know, common misconception is that it's just women owned, or it's just minority owned, or it's just veteran owned. It's not just ownership. It is ownership, control, management. It has to, the business has to be run by a woman or women and totally controlled by a woman or women. It's not just about that 51% ownership. So let's break this down a little bit further. You have to be for-profit and incorporated. Doesn't matter how long. You can be incorporated for 6 months and have $2 of revenue. That's fine. 51% total ownership. We don't round up. The women owners must be U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents. The woman has to have the highest defined title, so president, CEO, what have you. The woman also has to be the one running the day-to-day. She has to have total managerial control, and the business has to be able to function independent of a male-owned company. We are not in the business of certifying pass-throughs. The business cannot be getting all of their clients from a male-owned company, or, you know, putting all of their, you know, project operations out to a male-owned company. This is not what we are in the business of certifying. We do certify husband-wife teams depending on certain things. So as the woman owner, if you have 51%, is this your business? You are the expert in the industry. You are overseeing the day-to-day. Not saying that your husband also can't have expertise in it, but ultimately, if you're a construction business, he's the foreman, of this business, and you're a school teacher day-to-day, you don't have the construction expertise. You are not day-to-day overseeing it. So this business is not eligible. So for any husband-wife teams on here, just some things to think about in terms of who is controlling and running this company. As I mentioned, we also offer a second certificate, the WOSB, which is for federal government contracting. We offer that as an add-on at no additional cost. But Jen Tilden will talk more about the federal certificates as well. But if you are looking to get both, we can offer both to you. The application process takes about 3 to 4 months. We will do a deep dive into your whole business. We're going to look through a ton of documents. We will also send it to an independent committee to review as kind of a second set of eyes. And then we're also going to do a one-on-one meeting with you, either as an in-person site visit or virtually, depending on the nature of your business, if we do need to come out in person. So it is quite a lengthy process for your first year. Recertification is much smoother and generally quicker, but just know that if you think you need, you're going to need a certificate, plan in advance, because there's just no way we can do a 2-week turnaround. It's impossible. There is a cost to apply, and it does go on a sliding scale, starting at $350 if you make under $1 million in gross receipts. We take confidentiality extremely seriously. We use a proprietary software, keep nothing in hard copy. You don't mail anything to us, don't fax anything to us. So I actually go over all of these much more in depth. I do a monthly program on how to get certified, but I just wanted to mention that. And we, as I mentioned, we ask for a lot of documentation because ultimately, we want to know, I'm going to skip this. We want to know, is the woman actually running the business? Does she have the expertise to do so? Who's signing all your loans? Who's making the most money here? Who has put capital contributions to the business? We're going to look at all of that. And if you are a brand new business, we have plenty of suggestions for you. So just ask if there are documents that you think may not apply to you. And we have an awesome staff team here to answer any questions. Some people say, do I need to hire a consultant to help me get certified? Probably not. Ask us first. We're happy to answer any questions. We can't coach you through the application because we're independent reviewers, but we're happy to help clarify and, answer what we can. So that's my spiel about certifications in general and women-owned certifications. And we're going to take questions at the end. But at this point, I am going to pass it back to Joyce, and she's going to move on to our next certification representative.
Thank you so much, Colleen. Great information. So to keep the agenda moving, I would like to pass it on to Jen Tilden, who is the lead business opportunity specialist at the SBA. Jen?
Good morning, everyone. It's great to have an opportunity to speak with all of you today. I actually have a slightly different geographic area than both Sonia and WBEC. I currently cover both the eastern side of Pennsylvania, the state of Delaware, and I have some clients that are strewn as far down as Washington, D.C. So I know a lot of people pretty much on the eastern seaboard. If you need to know anyone, you can always feel free to reach out. My information is in the chat. We are going to be doing a really quick overview today of our certification programs. Can you guys see that?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's this and share. How about that?
Yes.
Excellent. So today we're going to be doing a brief overview of our certification programs at the federal level. I always love following Colleen because she cuts through a lot of the stuff that I normally have to do, and this makes it a lot quicker for me. One of the first things I want to say is when you hear small business certification, a lot of people rightfully think that somewhere there's an actual certificate, that you're going to receive an actual piece of paper suitable for framing. Unfortunately, that is not true. There is no physical certificate for federal contracting unless you're an 8A. If you're an 8A, you'll actually have a letter, but other than that, you'll never actually receive a paper certificate. If you need to prove your certifications at the federal level, you just point people to Sam. Obviously, today is a veteran event, so I wanted to start out first with our veteran-owned certification. These are two slightly different certifications with different implications. If you are a service-disabled vet to any percentage, you qualify as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. 3% of the federal budget is automatically earmarked for small businesses exactly like yours. On the other hand, if you are a veteran but not service disabled, there is set aside work for you, but only within the Veterans Administration. There are a lot of people out there who want you to pay them to, and we're going to talk about this at the end too, who want you to pay them for various types of help in federal contracting. I want to tell you right now that all over the United States, there are people called certified veteran counselors. They can help you get certified for free. You're going to get a copy of these slides. That is the link to find somebody in your area that can help you with free veteran certification. Please be aware, all the applications for 2022 have closed. They unfortunately closed a few days ago. We will begin taking new applications for veteran-owned businesses come January 1st. That is because we have switched the process for federal contracting from self-certification to active certification by the SBA. In addition, just as a side note, there is a process called Vet Bids. That is a special certification within the Veterans Administration. And it will allow you, among other things, to receive the medallion in the corner for your marketing information. It also gives you special information on procurements within the Veteran Administration. 8A, this is our flagship. This is what I do with most of my time. 8A is a 9-year business development program for sociologically and economically disadvantaged individuals. Generally, that means you fall into one of 5 categories. That is Black American, Native American, Hispanic American, Subcontinent Asian American, or Asian Pacific American. If you are not in one of those 5 categories, it doesn't mean that you are ineligible for 8A. It just means you're going to have to tell us on a personal basis how you were affected by discrimination. 3 numbers to know for 8A, 750,000, 350K, and 6 million. Oh, I'm sorry, we'll talk about that in a nanosecond. As Colleen said, though, please be aware, the 8A certification is not this magic drawer of contracts. It does not automatically entitle you to work. It is just one more way for the government to get a contract to you if you have a good product at a good price. I took the background in this one from a slightly different company. I'd like to mention that one of our current 8As, JD Bravo, which is over in Malvern, is in fact in the program because he is a service disabled vet. So that is a possible grounds for 8A. I mentioned the 750, 350, 6 million. In order to be accepted to the 8A program, you need to have a personal net worth of less than 750K. Please be aware that we automatically subtract any retirement accounts that cannot be accessed early without penalty, equity in your business, and equity in your primary home. Your 3-year average income has to be 350K or less. We do realize that once in a while you'll have one great year that totally changes all your numbers, but that's not normal. So we always average over 3 years. Also a fair market value of all your assets of 6 million or less. Colleen and I were literally talking before you guys logged on about don't hide a shore house. Don't hide a bunch of cars or something. Don't transfer a bunch of cash to your kids right before you apply. We're the federal government. We're going to find it. Please don't do it. it can actually be criminal liability. Small disadvantaged business, if you're one of those 5 categories, but you don't feel like applying for 8A, you actually constitute a small disadvantaged business. You can mark that radio button when you register in SAM. Woman-owned small business. Luckily, Colleen pretty much covered all of this. Be aware at the federal level, WOSB is a little weird. We as women are not a minority. There are actually more of us in the world than there are men. Since we're not a minority, we can do a minority set aside. So since the point of federal contracting programs is to level that playing field that Colleen was talking about, there are only set-asides at the federal level in certain types of work. If you are in a line of business that is traditionally male-dominated, I'm staring at you, construction, I'm looking at you, STEM sort of stuff, there could be contracts set aside. If you are not in one of those types of work, it will not benefit you to become certified as a WOSB at the federal level, because there will never be contracts set aside for your type of business. If you are wondering if you are one of these types of business, please reach out anytime. My email is at the end of the slide deck and it's also in the chat. Hub Zone program. This is the greatest program that no one knows. If you are in an area of either high unemployment and low revenue, or in an area that's very rural and that negatively impacts your business opportunities, you may be in what's called a hub zone. That is a historically underutilized business zone. Most of these are either in far rural areas or in inner cities. You can check and find out, but if you have 35% of your employees living in a hub zone and your primary office is in a hub zone, you may qualify. Please be aware your employees do not have to live in the same hub zone where your business is. So say if your business is located in a hub zone down in Northern Liberties, most of your employees could live in Camden because most of Camden is a hub zone as well. If you want to know whether you're a hub zone qualified, we have a map on our website. You'll get the live link there. Just start typing in addresses, type in your main office, type in your employees, type in whatever, and it will show you very clearly whether or not you qualify. If you are a sole proprietor, that's fine. Then if you qualify, then you're 100%, you're over the 35%. We get a fair number of questions about that. In addition, if you have a home-based business, that is okay. A lot of people do, in which case you would type your home address into the map and see whether your home qualifies. Last thing I always want to say, and I kind of alluded to it earlier on, the second you become involved in federal contracting, once you sign up for SAM, once you go for any of these certificates, people will come out of the woodwork and they all have their hands out and say, you have to pay me. You have to pay me to be registered in SAM. You have to pay me to apply for the 8A program. You have to pay me to renew SAM. All sorts of crazy things. I would like to tell you right now that federal contracting never has to cost you anything. All of the things that we were talking about, we can get you free or low cost help. Anytime that someone approaches you or your business and says, you have to pay me for X, please, that is a warning. And if nothing else, please feel free to reach out to me and say, hey, this sounds a little dodgy. Can you give me a heads up? Because unfortunately, it happens pretty commonly because they're really hoping that new small businesses won't know what they're doing. So they're pretty much little fish for a shark. Finally, this is me and my main second, Mr. George Tapia. We are available pretty much all the time to answer any questions you might have about certifications, to answer any questions you might have about government contracting, how to get into it, how to meet new people, how to expand your market. We are free. You've already paid for all of our services via your tax dollars. So please feel free to reach out at any time. And I am done.
Thank you so much, Jen, for all of that valuable information. I'm sure we have questions coming in the chat, so we look forward to answering those during the Q&A portion of the event. So our last speaker today is Matthew Pavelek. He is President and CEO of NaVOBA, National Veteran-Owned Business Association. Welcome, Matthew. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
Yes, and
you
we
can
see your
my
screen. Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. So thank you for the introduction and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all today. I wanted to begin by thanking the previous two speakers. First of all, about the Colleen with just the overview of what certification is and what to expect from it. So much like Jen, that does cover some things that saves me some time. And thank you for the reiterating about the charges that other companies might want to charge veterans, Jen, for that, because that is something we see all the time. And, you know, we kind of call them the dung beetles of the industry, but there's people that, you know, they'll charge money for services that are clearly already taxpayer funded, and there's experts all over the country. So thank you very much for pointing those two things out. That saved me some time. And we really do want to reiterate that to every vet that's looking into these certifications. So we're NaVOBA, the National Veteran-Owned Business Association, and our mission is to help veterans become successful participants in corporate supply chains. So corporate America has embraced veterans as a diverse business demographic in every way imaginable, and we're very grateful for that. You know, it's really, it wasn't quite so much adoption 10 years ago. In 2009, I did the research, and 96 companies on the Fortune 1000 mentioned veterans as part of their supplier diversity demographics, and now it's nearly all of the Fortune 1000. So we've seen a really huge adoption for that, and it's wonderful. And so this is just a board of one of our board of directors meetings. So 2/3 of our board of directors are corporations, much like the WBEC board of directors. We actually hired one of the former CEOs of WBEC to help us get NaVOBA started, because that was the pattern that, or the governance model that corporate America seemed to admire the most, and so seemed to provide the most benefit to the women business community. So we wanted to emulate that in many ways, and so we're very grateful for that. I won't go too deep into the certification because many of them are the same in terms of what they're looking at. So the WBEC, NMSDC, you know, disability, and they're all looking at 51% or more ownership, operation, and control. We have two different certifications. The site visit is required for every private sector certification, including ours. And we recently moved to a 3-year model. We started off with 2, but much like the federal government certifications, the NaVOBA recertification is only required every 3 years, unless something significant changes with the ownership of the company. But anyway, that's something that is really good for the veteran business, because for most businesses, things don't change that much. There's a spot check at the annual renewal just to make sure that nothing has changed, and the business owners have to attest to that. But anyway, it does save a lot of effort for the recertification for that part of it. So the public sector, and thank you for pointing that out, Jen, as well, because that is an incredible opportunity. So that 3% that she mentioned, it's always about $15 billion every year with a B, and that's a significant amount of money. But there's, and so for a lot of veterans who are familiar or identify as a veteran-owned business, it's almost a guarantee they're trying to get federal government contracts because they're familiar with that. And we would never say that you shouldn't pursue that avenue. It's certainly very lucrative, but there are definite reasons why you want to also target the private sector as well. So one, just diversify your prospective customers. And so she mentioned the National VIP program. Out of the 2,000 businesses that have gone through that program, despite the fact that it helps them position their businesses to sell to the federal government, 56% of their revenue growth has come from private sector contracts. And so I know Barbara Ash very well. She serves on our board as one of our partner organization members, and we have a close relationship with her. So, so a lot of those companies are still finding success with the government growing their business, but also in the private sector. The access, you have supplier diversity representatives that their job is to help you navigate that buying ecosystem within corporate America and work as your concierge to find out who buys your products and services and help to make those introductions. So there's some access that's there. The timing is excellent. So we're here in New Orleans at the National Minority Conference, which the MBE, or Minority Business Enterprise designation, is 50 years old this year. And I know WBEC celebrated 25 years old in Atlanta earlier in June. And so with that, though, corporate entities have had 5 and 2.5 decades, respectively, to increase their spending with minority and women business enterprises. NaVOBA was 5 years old yesterday. So just by its novelty, there are fewer certified VBEs that are out there. So corporations have less spending that they're able to track with veteran businesses. So if you are eligible to get a VBE designation as well as MBE or WBE, that could be something that's a nice value add to your corporate customer as well. And greater opportunities. So looking at this chart, so if you look at that $15 billion annually, the federal government is the largest single purchaser of goods and services. That's absolutely true. But there's only 23, 25 federal agencies with budgets that exceed $500 million. There's way more Fortune 1000 companies on the whole, so there's just so many more potential opportunities to work with corporate America. 3% of that corporate procurement is actually closer to $100 billion annually, just because there's so many more potential customers. And for that reason alone, it's a tremendous opportunity to target in addition to anything that you're trying to work with the federal government as well. So you mentioned the certificate. We don't print these for people, but it is part of their profile that they do actually get a certificate to provide to their corporate customers. So in their database, the profile will list there. So any customer that wants to can download your certificate, have it on file with you as a supplier to their company. And we went through the process to get a trademark on certified BBE and certified SDVBE, because as Joyce mentioned, the BE designations, that's the private sector work. So the OSB programs are for public sector and the BE programs are for the private sector. So just to make sure that we're consistent with our friend and partner organizations that had already done these certifications, we wanted to make sure that we were consistent with the nomenclature in every way imaginable, that this is what's already out there, but for the veteran business community. I mentioned our database, but this is an exclusive tool that allows our corporate allies and other DVEs. We always encourage vets to buy from one another when they can. Business owners buy stuff all the time and they should buy from each other. But this is a tool for corporations to be able to search for veteran businesses. So if you get certified, it's possible that someone might actually reach out to you and ask for more information about your company if the business is listed there. Not that that will happen, but at least it's possible with a database. I don't want to encourage people that they're going to have customers jumping into the boat overnight, but it is possible. So if you do get certified, listed in the database. And NaVOBA, we work with all of the other diverse certifiers because veterans are everybody. The veteran community really is the intersection of all diversity, because everybody that's served in the military for the last 47 years has done so as a volunteer, and they come from all walks of life. So we're very proud to have served as the veteran representative on the National Business Inclusion Consortium since 2019. And recently, this past summer, we announced a reciprocity agreement with Disability In. So anybody that's certified SDVBE with us is automatically certified SDV-DOBE with Disability In at no cost or effort to the veteran business. They just opt in and they have an additional certificate and are listed in an additional database for their customers, once again, at no cost or effort to the businesses themselves. And we're very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for our partnership with WBEC. So we were in Atlanta at the national conference and we celebrated our Women Veteran Business Enterprise of the Year awards. And WBEC was gracious enough to share the survey for that award to all of the certified WEs around the country. And so just a wonderful friend and partnership that we have with WBEC. And I know that we've worked with WBEC-East a lot over the years. NaVOBA is headquartered in Pittsburgh. I know that's part of your region. And so it's just a wonderful friendship that we have. And if there's anybody that has any questions about anything that we're doing, I would love to address that. But for just in summary, basically, it's very similar to what you're accustomed to with the WBE certification that Colleen went over in great detail, but for the veteran community. So if you have served in the US military and you're eligible, we'd love to be able to help you out with that. And one final thought, with all private sector certifications, there's a cost to the certifying entity. So with NaVOBA certification, it's the same as the WBEC certification at $350 at the lowest tier and up on a sliding scale, but it's also good for 3 years. But we have grant funding from Lowe's, the National Home Improvement Retailer. So there would be no fee for the short term if your business would be eligible and you think it would be of benefit to your corporate customer. But even if it's not, even if it's free to you, if it's not something that's right for your business, and for all the reasons that Colleen mentioned, we encourage businesses not to apply for certification, even if there's no fee, because if it's not going to be a value add to your corporate customer, then please don't do it. With that, I'll hand it back and thank you all very much again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for those insightful words. Really good information. We are a little short on time, and so before introducing Liz Walsh, the WBEC-East president, I wanted to take a couple of questions from the chat and perhaps one or two questions from the audience here. I do see that some of the questions were actually addressed in the chat. So, but I did want to point out there was one question about the free resources that Jen uh, was talking about. I will say that the slides, this is being recorded and the slides are going to be sent out after the event, most likely tomorrow, with a survey so that you can tell us how we did and give us some feedback. But we will have all of the links from those slides will be live, and you can actually click them in the slides. I do see a question about, okay, that's a networking question from Unique Harmony Consultants. Let's see if there are any other questions in the chat that I should address that were not addressed. How can I support starting a veteran nonprofit? By Sunshine Conyer. I don't know if Jen, you wanted to take that, or if Matthew wanted to take that with regard to starting a nonprofit.
Sure, I'll address that because I went through that process 5 years ago because NaVOBA was part of a veteran-owned business and a media publishing company. So we took NaVOBA to create it as a nonprofit officially last year. So the first thing that you want to do is understand what you want to do and how that's going to be something that's novel, because for IRS to approve nonprofit status, when we did it, there's 43,000 veteran nonprofits in the country. So what are you going to be doing that's unique or different that's going to provide a charitable function? And technically, nonprofits are owned by the taxpayers, so you have to demonstrate that you're going to be doing that is a necessary charitable function that benefits society, which then enables you to operate without having to pay taxes. But for every other intent and purpose, you're still a business. You need to be able to run a business and be able to operate efficiently. You just have the luxury of not having to pay taxes on that income, and then get a board of directors that's going to be able to help with everything that you're doing, and they need to be disinterested financially, meaning they don't benefit from it, but they want to see the organization benefit because they believe in your mission. And then in terms of certification, we do get this question quite a bit, like people want to certify their nonprofit. Since you can't own a nonprofit, it's owned by the taxpayers, there's no way you can actually get that certified. But I'll put my email in the chat so I don't take up too much more time, but if there's any specific advice that we can provide, and we actually did work with a law firm to help us with that application, and they were out of Philadelphia, so I might be able to provide a contact to whomever that is if they're interested in that as well. So I'll put my email in the chat.
I was going to say, unfortunately, most of our programs are for-profit only. So if you have a 501c3 or anything like that, you may not be eligible for some things like the 8A program. Reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to look into your individual case.
Thank you, Jen. I wanted to quickly introduce Liz Walsh before we run out of time. She is the WBEC-East president. Liz, if you can unmute yourself to share a few words, I will unmute you, yes. Let's see.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Pardon me. And thank you for joining us. I think the two biggest takeaways, so there was a lot of information, dense information, might have been difficult to get through it all. Please know that the presentation will be sent out, and it does have all the live links, so you'll be able to follow up yourself. The two biggest takeaways that we hope that you get from participating this morning and giving us an hour of your time is that there are organizations and resources available, ready, willing, and able to assist you. So you were introduced to them here on this call. There are others as well, and we all know the connections. So you can reach out to any one of the speakers, and we would be able to put you in touch with the right resources that are available. The second takeaway is most of these resources, the application processes, are at no cost to you. There is an application fee, but there's the work to be done. So that was echoed a couple of times, that there are some not so great organizations that are out there trying to get some funding from you to help you in this process. It seems overwhelming. It's not. It's just like when you have to clean out your closet, just do it one shelf at a time. And the process will take care of itself. So those are the two biggest takeaways that we hope you get from this. There were a number of questions that we were unable to get to in the chat. We will try to field them to the appropriate speaker and get you responses. But you will have the contact information from each of the speakers on the presentation that you'll be receiving tomorrow. So you can follow up on your own as well. So just, go out, make some money, get some business. And most importantly, thank you to all those who have served.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your service to all of those who have served. On behalf of WBEC-East, thank you for joining us for this National Veterans Small Business Week event. You will be receiving a survey with all the slides by tomorrow. We appreciate all the speakers who spoke today, and everyone have a great day. Take care.